to you part 2 of Kenya's premier sports video podcast, the 3 Quarters Podcast. We'd like to start off by saying thank you, Asante Sana, to all our fans and followers for supporting us this far. Also, jump onto the hashtag Road to Japan to support our Kenya Simbas as they are still looking to qualify for the Rugby World Cup in 2019. So the 3 Quarters Podcast is all about promoting sports and sports travel. And as a result, we partnered with Moran Sports Travel to give you this brilliant offer for the Dubai Sevens, which will be on the 1st and the 2nd of December. For only $999 you get to enjoy the full Dubai experience. That is your desert safaris, your nighttime barbecues, and also your Dow cruises. All this and much more coming up on your screen.
This is Nashi official noisemaker, Jerry Goose Kenyana.
So as there was no feature tournament or game of the weekend, we don't have a bad man of the week. We jumped straight into Rugby 101.
Yep, so we finished with the new rules that were passed by the World Rugby Executive Committee. So we are back into demystifying the lingo or rules in rugby in Kenya. So today we're going to be talking, I'm sure if guys who've gone for a rugby game, you've had guys talking about guara, which of course is Kiswahili for scratch. So when you hear guys saying guara, this is exactly what they mean. Scratch is a way to restart a play, either when you have a full penalty or a half penalty. So it normally happens with the player who's restarting play, taps the ball on his leg and then plays live. At some point, at times you have the person who's restarting play kick the ball into his hands, and again, as I'm saying, plays live. Many a times you see the guy who's actually scratching knock the ball on. But it's commonly used in sevens because sevens doesn't have time for the kicking for touch, kicking for goal, so they normally scratch. But in 15s you'll normally see it when you're in the opposing 5-meter area. So rather than go for touch or points when you're looking for a try, they normally guara or scratch.
And also half penalties.
Yes, half penalties they go for the guara or scratching. So the next time you hear guara, it is scratching. You're not being told to fight.
Also to note, in sevens you're normally doing it as a quick start, basically.
Yes.
When guys are not 10 and to gain advantage.
Yes, when they're not 10 meters back.
Yeah.
Same applies to 15.
Yes, which of course results in a penalty.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so the Lionesses were in Tunisia for the Africa Women's Sevens tournament, and this is how the games went. In the pool stages, first game was against Madagascar. They won 27-5. Then they played Senegal, where they won 38-0, and then they played Zimbabwe, where it was 47-0. So a clean sweep for the Lionesses. Very well done.
Yeah.
Moved on to the quarterfinals, where they played Morocco, and there they beat them 47-0. I mean, not much of a game. Then we had the semi-finals, where they played Tunisia, and that was 26-7. And then in the finals, they just got edged out by South Africa, 17-12. South Africa have won it for the past couple of years, 2-3 years, and I mean, it's unfortunate for our ladies, but what did you take from that tournament?
I think it's a good showing for our Lionesses. They roared and we had them clean. But well, South Africa has been a boogie team. Last outing, same kind of results, 5-point different game. Last time was 22-17, this time round 17-12. Sad that we didn't get to automatically qualify for the World Cup, Women's World Cup Sevens. That will be in San Francisco.
Yes, in San Francisco.
2018. But we still have a chance because we qualified for the Commonwealth Games to be held in the Gold Coast, Australia. So yeah, we can only hope that the ladies can improve. I think the Africa Sevens were a good tournament for the likes of Philadelphia, Orlando, and I think you would know Sinaida, formerly Mwamba, but I think she left because Mwamba.
They are all formerly Mwamba. You know what? Philadelphia Land was also in Mwamba. So
I think it's a good showing for them. I can only wish them well come the Commonwealth Games, and both the finalists or the Commonwealth get to qualify for the World Cup. So yeah, we are behind them.
I guess, yeah, best of luck to the ladies. We were winning at some point, starting off in that game. But then we got a yellow and things sort of went south from there.
I mean, there are questionable calls about the sin bin, but anyway, as they're saying, refs are part of the game. It's like the bounce of the ball. So therefore, we can't question it just as much now. My issue was that they seem to be making some uncharacteristic errors that allowed South Africa back into the game. Forget even about the sin bin. There were some errors because South Africa scored about 2 quick tries, and that's how they were able to get back into the game and, of course, beat Kenya. Getting to the final is no mean feat, so we don't take it away from them. They had some very convincing wins, and which was very impressive by the girls. Girls. So we don't take anything away from them. It's unfortunate that just now we are not in the World Cup, Sevens World Cup that's going to be in San Francisco next year. However, as Ngusa said, we have an opportunity when we take place in the Commonwealth. This was actually also serving as a qualifier for the Commonwealth, which we have made rather we're going to be participating in the Commonwealth. Therefore, at that point, I think then is when we can bring up this discussion of World Cup qualifying. But as of now, of course, let's focus on Commonwealth.
So just kind of my opinion on the ladies. I've seen them grow over the past few years, and they've grown in leaps and bounds. I mean, they've always sort of had potential, but now it's actually coming through. The work that Kevin Wambua is doing on the ladies and strength and conditioning coach Samuel Njogu, I just think is phenomenal. I mean, in terms of people like Snyder Aura, started playing rugby just the other day, and she's worked very well, under the coaches, and we're seeing her sort of cement her position on the wing, where you've got someone like Janet Akello. She's very quick, very powerful, but she's now moved to scrum half, so that Snyder can play, on the wing. I feel like you have something to say.
No, I'm saying which is good.
Yeah. But yeah, so when you look at the team, you see that, before we'd have, just again, my opinion, you'd have people to fill in the spots, and then you'd have people like maybe Philadelphia Orlando, Celestine Masinde carrying the team. But then now you've actually got people who play well in their positions. And yeah, so hats off to the girls. Hats off to the girls.
Great to see you getting back.
Maybe as a mentoring role, but yes, definitely hats off to the girls. So now we move on to ticket pricing for the Safari Sevens. There's been a lot of hullabaloo about that. People are not happy. We've got the Friday ticket, ordinary ticket, going for 500 bob. And then we've got the Saturday and Sunday ordinary tickets going for 1,500 on Saturday, 1,500 on Sunday, and the VIP going for 3,000 on Saturday, 3,000 on Sunday. And then we've got the season tickets, where you've got your regular for 2,500 and your VIP tickets for 5,000 bob. What do you guys think of the pricing?
I think it just might be a bit expensive, considering over the last 6 years we've been paying 500 on Saturday and Sunday, 500 as well. Now, tripling that amount to 1,500. My question is this: us as the fans, will we be comfortable? Will we have easy access to food and beverage? I don't want to sit like on the Russia side, just facing the sun just hitting my face all day. Do you think I'll be back on Sunday? No. And then we know that we've been paying this much to see our main guys who play Kenya Sevens, the Shujaa Sevens, and as well we'd like to see the big teams, the likes of France, Fiji. I'd like to see them come play here, and that's why the Sevens was moved to the end of the year as a way for these teams to use it as a platform of preparing for the series, HSBC series. But now, at the same dates as Sevens, there's the Silicon Valley Sevens that will be happening, where now the likes of Fiji have already committed to play. Are we going to just be paying all that to see the Kabda Philip Okanach, Uganda, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and maybe now Western Province that we have a cordial relationship with? So it just might be a bit expensive for me. But let's wait and see, and if at all it will be worth the 1,500 or the 3,000 if you're VIP.
Okay. Well, Gus has gone into the fan experience and will it be worth it? Anything you'd like to add to that?
I mean, we need to appreciate where this thing has come from. The reason why people are paying 500 shillings at Nyayo Stadium and Kasarani was because of the space and the number of people that these two stadiums could accommodate. That's not the case at RFEEA grounds, number one. Number two, we also need to take into account the fact that at the time the Sevens was leaving the RFEEA grounds, the ticket was 1,000 shillings a day, right? So it actually went down because of increasing capacity, but now we're going back to the RFEEA. The only reason I would say that the 1,500 is not good is because of what Ngus has alluded to. When you pay the 1,500 shillings, you expect that you're going to be seeing some stars. Case in point, at the time when they were leaving when Sevens was leaving RFEEA, Emerging Box were certain to be participants. They were every year participants in the Sevens. We had gotten to a point where Samoa were also participating here. So when I paid their 1,000 bob, I know I'm going to be seeing Lolo Louis. I'm okay with that, right? The likes of Cecil Africa, his career was largely actually because of the Safari Sevens in 2006. You think about Hio Aplon, the former back for South Africa. Again, he was part of the Emerging Box team. So if I'm paying that 1,500 shillings, I'm not coming to watch Portugal. I don't want to watch Portugal. Yes, I can't. Come on, bring in some core team. And you see that's the same thing Gus is saying, because I don't think this Silicon Valley Sevens thing has been talked about as much as the Safari Sevens. Number one, or even if it was, come on, these guys didn't do their research or what? Had they even talked to the Fijians? Had they even talked to the Samoans? Had they even talked to USA at the very least, coached by our former coach Mike Friday? Come on, guys. I mean, something's not adding up. And if you can already see these problems now, you only ask yourself what exactly is going to happen during Sevens. I'm even doubting whether those stands are going to be ready. But anyway,
Kenyan is it?
Yes, we just wait and we wait and see how that's going to go.
Well, I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying. Okay, well, mostly agree with what you're saying. But I think one, just a different angle basically is I think the ticket pricing is majorly to do with capacity. Like that I think is just why it's been increased, because at the end of the day they're like, yeah, fine, there's some people who won't be able to afford it, but then it's okay. There are people who still want to come and will still pay that 1,500 bob.
But now, why we doubt the guys who cannot afford that? And these are the guys who will fill the stadiums during Kenya Cup games.
But then on the other hand, Goose, we're not thinking about Kenya Cup, we're talking about Safari 7. Is it going to be full? It is going to be full with that 1,500.
Yes.
I mean, if I'm organizing Safari 7s, I don't care about what Kenya Cup is going to be.
You really
I'm thinking
don't.
about
You really don't.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the 1,500 shillings.
And then when you talk about fan experience, both of you, or when you're saying that, will we have this provided? Will we have this provided? Now, if it's say 500 bob, let's just say it's 500 bob for a regular ticket. Think about the fan experience then. It'll be too crowded. Too crowded. You'll never even get to that food stand.
Well, it boils down to the venues that we have.
All right. Well, point taken. So now, next year, KRU are going to have a very full plate with the qualifiers, the Rugby World Cup qualifiers coming up. How do you think they're going to plan or manage that?
First of all, kudos to them for having made the Kenya Cup season shorter. I think that gives the players a bit more time to prepare. The Kenya team has more time to prepare for the rugby qualifiers. Secondly, sort out the technical bench. We'd like to know who's heading this team, and then leave it to the technical bench. Do not touch. Keep off. You've done your work. Keep off. And then, in terms of the motivation of players, don't hold their money. If there's money given, give it to the player. Dish it out. Let the players have the money. It's their dues. Let it be theirs. Don't touch it. I think we'll have a good period to prepare ourselves. Yeah, and we'll have a good session come next year.
Well, some good points.
For me, it says, I'm just going to focus on one thing. I wish Richard Omwela and his team will actually listen to this. All the focus next year should be on the Rugby World Cup in Japan in 2019. The majority of the focus should be on the Kenya Simbas qualifying for the Rugby World Cup in Japan in 2019. I say this because I know there's going to be the World Cup Sevens. I'm saying this because I know there's going to be Commonwealth. And my gut feeling tells me that these people will actually put more focus on the Sevens team and forget about the 15s team. And that's where the problem is going to come. Again, it just goes back to what I keep on saying. when we decide to focus on 15s as a country, that's when rugby is going to grow in this country. If we keep focusing on 7s, we'll be having these discussions every 4 years. So I just think next year they need to really focus on Rugby World Cup qualification.
All right, so on to international rugby. The England autumn tests have been confirmed. Anything to note on that for you?
Well, the most anticipated one would be the November one against New Zealand, the All Blacks. That would be a tough one for the All Blacks especially. But then there's Ireland. England will be facing Ireland, the Six Nations. So I'd like to see how that pans out. Then I can I can have a clear prediction on how they'll play against New Zealand.
Okay.
They're the number 2 team in the world, England. They'll be taking on South Africa, Japan, and Australia also in the autumn tests in 2018. By the way, I must confirm. But of course, the game everyone has been talking about is England versus New Zealand, because it's a Kings of the North versus Kings of the South, Kings of the Wild, New Zealand. So that one is a game that people have been waiting for, and it takes me back to 2002, when England played New Zealand. They actually beat New Zealand in 2002. We all know what happened in 2003. So this could actually just be a base for the World Cup in Japan in 2019.
And remember the last time England beat New Zealand was 2012.
Yes.
The 38-21.
Yes.
And the closest they ever gotten to beat New Zealand was their tour to New Zealand.
Yes.
The one that ended as a 28-27,
Yeah.
a 1-point game.
Yeah.
So it will be a good game to watch.
So very quickly, just moving on to the Rugby Championship, we had New Zealand versus South Africa, where they lost. South Africa lost. No, they were whooped 57-0, and then Australia beat Argentina 45-20.
Yeah.
Do you really want to say anything about that?
I won't speak on the New Zealand game. Australia, good performance. 45-20, not bad.
I don't think there's anyone in that South Africa team who believes they can actually beat New Zealand, because 57-0, really, you're the third-ranked team and you're being whooped 57-0. It doesn't make sense. So, and I think they're giving false hope to New Zealand that they're very good. I don't think New Zealand are that good. I just think South Africa are crap. Australia put up a good show versus Argentina, though Argentina had some very good moves, but on the day Israel Folau, Will Guinea, Bernard Foley, they're able to control the back line very well, and of course Australia Catley Beale, of course Australia coming out on top, so it was expected.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, no, I was just thinking of how you support New Zealand and he supports South Africa, and it's okay.
Freedom.
It's okay. All right. So, guys, remember you can follow us on social media. That is by following us on Instagram, liking our page on Facebook, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. I'm Davima Duffield.
This is Gashi, official noisemaker.
Stay tuned for part 3.
My extinguisher.
That is loud.